Welcome to another Saturday live stream. It's Paul Toby here from Jazz Mental. Thanks for joining me for another one of these sessions and for taking the time out of your busy day to spend about an hour with us. We are today talking about bossa and specifically the tune Estate in the key of B minor. There's some things you need to know about this. We're going to talk about some voicings, some rhythm, because of course that's really what bossa nova is all about, that rhythm that kind of sways back and forth and makes us feel really good about ourselves. I was just reading one of the comments from our deeply committed people that showed up today, and specifically Amadeo from Italy. I appreciate the thought about my great passion for music, and I had a thought instantly that where did that come from? And I think like many people, it started when we were very young and we got introduced to music. In my specific situation, it was our church organist, Markwell J. Perry. And from that moment on, I just developed this lifelong passion for music. I think that in the world that we live in with so much going on, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have the ability to make music. To me, it's always been the most important thing in my life. I have other interests, of course, just like many of us, but the ability to sit down and make music, or stand up and make music, as it were, is inspiring internally. It's like intrinsic motivation. Whenever I'm feeling like I'm worthless or unworthy, I just sit at the piano and I remind myself of what I am all about on this planet. And I'm here for you today, so thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. Let's do a quick sound check before we get started, and I'll give a shout out to a few people. Let's check the piano first. Just let me know that you can hear that okay. We're also going to be working with a backing track today, so let me just play a quick second of that. Let me know if you can hear that okay as well. And when we get to the part where I'm going to play along with the backing track, then we will discuss the mix a little bit, because of course I can't hear what you hear on your end, so I appreciate it. All right. Emotive feedback, Keith, Larry, everybody says it sounds good. So just a quick shout out to the deeply committed people as I put today's sheet music link in the chat area, and I'm going to pin it to the top of the chat right now. Go check that out. You have to give an email address this time around for it. I appreciate you doing that. It helps us communicate with each other. And like I said before, there's a bunch of reasons why we do that, not the least of which is I get access to you through email and we can communicate that way. And a lot of you send me emails, and you wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't have my email address. So there you go. Thanks for doing that. So the sheet music is there. Let me throw it up on the screen quickly. It is Estate. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Estate, it is popularized by Carlos Antonio Jobim, but he didn't actually write the tune. The composers are at the top of the sheet music when you download it. I will say this about this tune, is that there's not a lot to it. I find it difficult to play, even though there's not a lot to it. Difficult meaning you really have to think about the voicings, because the melody is so beautiful that if you mess with that in any way and you go off on tangents where the melody is no longer making sense, you lose the entire sense of the song. This tune, somebody said the backing track is a little loud, so we'll fix that when I start. Thank you. I appreciate that, Rich. Just a quick shout out to David, Larry, Allison, Gloria, Martin, Tom, Jerry, Amodi, Keith, Rich. I should get up the list. Peter, Steve. I'm sure I've missed a bunch. Shell, I've missed a bunch. So anyway, there you go. Deeply committed people here week to week. I love seeing you. I love hanging out with you, and I love your questions and your feedback and your responses and everything that you do to help me out with this channel. It does not go unnoticed. I'm not sure if you saw the Quartet backing track contest that we did this week that's going to run for the next 5 weeks. I'm basically going to give away an entire subscription. Well, it's not a subscription. It's like a one-time purchase, but I did a review video for Quartet, and I love this app. So I'm going to actually use one of the backing tracks today for Estate. So if we can listen to that, you can tell me. These are real musicians. In fact, when I actually saw the musicians that played, I recognized a few of them that played on the Quartet app, but especially Dave O'Higgins, who's a saxophone flute player. I actually performed with him in Canada when he came to Canada. I did a few gigs at the Top of the Senator and a couple of concerts, and it was great having him. It's been many years since I've seen him and played with him, but he's actually the horn player on this app, which is kind of cool. So thanks for letting me know the download is okay. Transcription is on overload now, but we have time until tomorrow to deal with that, Paul, so no problem. Okay, thanks, Peter. What would I do without my deeply committed people? I tell you. Hey, Mike from Germany, nice to see you. All right, let's play the tune. I'm going to take the sheet music off the screen because I don't want it distracting. I'm going to turn the backing track down a little bit so maybe it's not too loud. And hopefully, maybe you can give me some feedback while I'm playing. I'm not sure I'll be able to turn it down while I'm playing, but anyway. And of course, I need headphones because I need to hear it myself very clearly. There'll be a count off, and then we'll just play Estate. Rich says that the sync doesn't seem right. So let's get this straight. How many of you feel the same way? The backing track is a bit intrusive, needs to be lower, just my opinion. Okay, we can do that. What does the sync doesn't seem right mean? It's like the snare is delayed. How many of you would agree with what Rich is saying? Because I'm not sure if you're comparing what I'm playing to the backing track. I could play it without the backing track, no problem. Okay, we're not going to use the backing track. That seems clear. Too many people don't like it, and we're not going to use it. So let's just play it without it, and we'll go from there. And people believe that the sync is up. Okay, no problem. We'll just go without it. I'm good with that. Okay. Here we go. All right, is it just me or is that a beautiful tune or not? Just let me know what you think of the tune. I mean, obviously, we didn't get the whole backing track thing to work properly, which is interesting because I tested it beforehand and it sounded fine to me. So maybe it's in the translation of how it comes through the live stream. I don't know. Maybe the YouTube does something to it, compresses it. I have no idea. But anyway, I just think it's a great tune and deserves to be played. Hey, Esther, how you doing? And Henry says, thank you. Beautiful rendition. Yeah, I mean, I had some fun with it, regardless of whether I got to play with the band or not, but it's absolutely a beautiful tune. Thank you, Richard, for backing me up on this. I really think it is. I think just the way that it moves, if you're thinking about this, right? This is just about, you know, it's just like, it just, to me, just sings. And not all tunes are created equal. I mean, some are typically more complicated than others, but when a beautiful melody comes through, it just comes through and it just drives me from the inside out. Thanks, Dave. And Jerry says, glad the intruder left the party. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do some more testing. I think the backing tracks are great. I actually practiced along with a couple of them when I was making the video this week for the contest. By the way, I should post a link to the contest. If you don't know about it, the backing tracks are made by real musicians, and regardless of whether it worked in this scenario or not, doesn't matter. What matters is that you have access to them and you can practice with the band whenever you want. So let me just grab the link. Here it is. I'm not going to pin it to the top of the chat. I'm going to leave the download link. But if you haven't joined the contest, I'm giving away, with Quartet's, the app maker's blessing, I'm giving away 5 versions of it. We'll start next week, next Saturday, and we'll use a random number generator to draw from the people who have entered the contest. Even if it's not for you, at least enter the contest and get a free app and you can share it with somebody, because it works and I think it's great. All right, let's get into the tune. Going to put it on the screen. I recognize that it's just a lead sheet, but the chord changes are the most important thing. And I didn't really feel much like writing out entire voicings. But let's start with rhythm. One of the things that I think people do not do well with Bossa Nova is they get the rhythm incorrect. The way to think about it is this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3. So on the and of 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now I played it a lot more sensitively than that. Is that the right word? But I'm trying to exaggerate the melody, the rhythm, sorry. If you can get that, you'll get bossa. That's really the only thing that piano players have to feel is the and of 2. And if you just start there and you spend maybe an hour just doing that, just on B minor. Make some rhythm, because it's just one chord, but you can make it interesting by adding rhythms and little motifs in the right hand and little chord things, and just play things from the scale and have fun with it. Okay. Once we have that, that's the basis for everything that goes forward from this point. The next thing that you need to consider is, what is the melody? We've talked about this many, many times before. Don't let your voicings get above the melody. You don't want to voice the melody on an inner voice. For example, if you do this, it ruins it, because any voicings that are higher than the melody negate the actual note that wants to be heard. And so what I like to do is I like to play the melody with an upper finger, maybe pinky or fourth finger, and then hold the note and play inner voicings or inner comping. So you'll notice that the right hand is not just playing the melody note, but it's playing these inner voicings that help the melody sing. And so you really have to spend some time putting that together, even if it's just like the first interesting thing about this I should point out. And I need to verify this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now, I'm not mistaken. Each section is 14 bars. I mean, how he managed to make a melody that has a 14-bar structure, not just in the A section, but also in the B section. Let me verify that too, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 bars at B, and then 14 bars at C. So you've got 14 times 4, which is 40, 60, I don't know, something. 44 times 4 is 24. So it's like 64 bar tune. Well, where did that come from? I mean, who does things like that? But it still works because the melody makes it work. So to reiterate, get the rhythm going. And then play melody with the top finger and then inner voices. Be expressive about a melody like this. Get louder as it goes higher. See if there's any comments about this so far. As I'm looking at the sheet music, Mike says, this is such a coincidence. I fell in love with this tune through Michel Petrucciani. Yes, I've actually heard that version. He was such a great player, wasn't he? Started working on it, but put it aside and other things got in the way. Thanks, Paul. You're welcome. Not too many questions about chords and stuff, except Alan puts one in now. Paul, how are you voicing what's written as F sharp 7 in bar 13? I am not sure this is what you are playing. So you're right. So in bar 13, I alternate a lot between a 2-5 of B minor and just going to the 5. So 2-5 is like C minor 7 flat 5 to F7 with a plus 5. And then I sometimes like to resolve the plus 5 down to the 9th of the B minor. So I do this. C minor 7 flat, C half diminished 7th, or C minor 7 flat 5. One more time. Or something like that. Does that answer your question? You can let me know. Let's take a look at E minor. The thing that I believe makes a great piano voicing is in the right hand, if you can play fours. So we talked about this in the advanced masterclass, and we're not going to go into it in too much detail here, but what we're doing is we're taking a B flat minor scale. So they're literally like two sharps. And what we're doing is we're just going up the scale in fourths with the right hand. What a great sound though, right? You get a sound like this too, right? So what I like to do with when I get to the E minor, for example, we're starting off nice and light here, right? And then take the bass down to this 10th voicing with a 5th, and then in the right hand play fourths from the scale. Lovely, right? Then, this is an opportunity here, F sharp 7 flat 9. So the first chord that I play here on the melody note, which is D, I like to think about that like a sharp 11 chord. It just fits to me. You got to play two chords. If you just play one chord there like this, it doesn't really work. It's not enough. You have to put some dissonance in there. So this is a C7 with a sharp 11. And then the next chord is just an F sharp 7 with a flat 9. Flat 9. Really just diminished chord, right? I like to change the tritone in the left hand to something else, because if you stay there, it's almost like it lasts too long. Same voicing for E minor 7. And then here, there's a lot of things you can do with this A7 chord. So if you think about A7 with a flat 9, 7, flat 9, and third is part of this diminished chord, but the melody is up here. So you've got the diminished chord in the middle surrounded by melody. And I sometimes play that, or sometimes I'll just play the third in the bass. Nice, really simple, because we're coming down from a lot of tension, right? And then on the D7 chord, start with the D sus, and then drop the ninth to the flat 9 and drop the fourth to the third. We talked about that before. So get those inner voices moving. One more time. Roll the chord if you need to. The other thing you can do with the D7 chord is play a sharp 11, which is this note. And it's almost like it resolves, the sharp 11 resolves to the fifth of the chord. So you're creating upper movement up to the next melody note. Okay, so we go. There was something that I was going to do at the beginning. Let's take this off the screen for 1 second. I've been doing something at the beginning of this session which seems to keep some of you around a little bit longer, which is not that, the end reveal. So when we get to the end of this session, I'm going to reveal to you my favorite 2-5-1 of minor. So 2 half diminished 7th to 5-7 flat 9 to a minor chord. Stick around for that because we're almost going to be talking about that now when there's a 2-5 at the end, but I'm not going to reveal the actual voicing. Okay, Jerry, thanks for posting the information about Petrucciani's performance. I appreciate that. Let's put the sheet music back on the screen. So then when you get to the G, and we just did this in D7. So you got to resolve that, right? So whatever G diminished 7th voicing you're using, make it thick. So just find some inversions of G major 7. You know, obviously you can use the 9th or 13th. You can play it as clusters. You can maybe make fourths in the left hand. It's a bit harsh. When you get to the C7 sharp 11, the reason why that exists is because you've got a D over C7. So this is our C7 chord right here. And then a D major triad in the right hand, because we've talked about this before. When the 13th is in the melody and you've got a dominant 7th chord, it's a perfect opportunity to use this voicing. And then F sharp 7, and then I love this. So it goes from the 5th to the sharp 5. That's what F sharp plus 7 means. It also is the third of the destination chord, which is B minor. And then you could throw some other things in there too, like And now this is an E half diminished seventh chord. I'm going to take a screenshot of this because I think it's warranted at this point. And put that on your screen so I can write. So we're talking about this chord here. E half diminished seventh in root position. E, G, B flat, and D. But let's check out why this works. So right away, the third of E half diminished seventh is the flat 9 of F sharp. The seventh of, so the two leading tones of E half diminished seventh are the flat 9 and the sharp 5 of F sharp plus 7. So just put that over F sharp and you get this sound. Oh my God. Isn't that beautiful? In context, it sounds much better. So let's go from sometimes, and we do make reference to this, you can use voicings from other types of chords, like E half diminished seventh, for an F sharp 7 chord. Why that works is obvious, but thinking of it and actually executing it is another thing. So the formula is go a whole step down from the root of the chord and you get E, put a half diminished seventh chord over E, over F sharp. Who would have thought? The other thing too is this is a C7. This is a C with a ninth. Same voicing. So it's E half diminished 7, C9, and it's F sharp plus 7 with a flat 9. Just different bass notes each time. Let's see what you think of that. Oh, I don't have any comments about that. That's something you should be commenting on because those are jazz harmony tricks that you need to learn. Okay. Let's go to the bridge. Interesting thing about the bridge is this. He decides in his infinite wisdom, and I'm talking about the composer, that he's going to switch to B major, which is not the relative major chord of B minor. So the relative major of B minor is D7. So he could have gone to D, but he didn't. He goes to B. So it's very abrupt. So if you end on here, F sharp 7, and then it goes like this. It works, but there's no real rhyme or reason for it other than he's like, let's just mess everybody up and change the key abruptly. And then he goes briefly into E flat minor with a F half diminished 7th to a B flat 7 flat 9 to E flat minor. And then you've got an F flat 7 chord with a flat 9. Okay. So one more time, you have to keep the melody in place. If you don't do that, then the chords don't make any sense. So what I like to do in that situation, because it's so abrupt and it switches the key dramatically from 2 sharps to, I don't know how many sharps is B? 5? Somebody let me know how many sharps B major is. But anyway, all of these notes become sharp. So the voicings that you use, I like to just play the melody very simply with some nice chords, just a simple chord in the left hand. And then when it gets here, Just just simple left hand comping. It's very high too. If you start playing chords like this up here, they sometimes sound cluttered. So let's try it with just block chords in the right hand. We could actually sidestep here if you wanted to. No, that doesn't work. Doesn't really work. Just make it simple. And I like little jazz turns. Bill Evans. There's a lot of things you can do with E flat minor, but none of it seems to work. I tried a few different things, maybe force in the left hand, and then I just love this chord. A flat 7 with a flat 9. That's not what I'm playing, actually. What I'm playing is a B major 7th chord over A flat. Let me write that in. You can get pretty dissonant with that chord as much as you want. That's a little bit different. This is F6 over A flat. So this is an F6 inversion. First inversion of F6 over A flat. Simple on F sharp 7, just a diminished chord. Then it just repeats. Okay, and that's the total tune. There isn't really much more to it than that. I hope you got some good voicing ideas out of that. You can let me know if you do. Allison says, definitely a Saturday to re-listen to the video. So much good instruction on voicings. Thanks. I try. There's definitely choices in voicings. And if you play the same ones all the time, it starts sounding not too cool. So getting some nice voicings together is really the key. You're getting some wonderful sounds from the piano today, Paul. Some of the best voicings I've heard in my life. Thank you. And Martin says, totally agree. Oh, well, I'm so glad you're happy with that. Let's see if we can play the tune again, get a nice recording out of it to make and if you want to fund a transcription, we can either transcribe the first one or the second one. I put that in your download today. You can check that out. I'll also put it on the screen. For those of you that have funded transcriptions before, you know what I'm doing here. I'm paying the transcriber with your investment, and you can't get it any cheaper than now. So if you want it, there you go. I think it's a great tune, and it would be great in any repertoire, any concert that you're doing if you did some of these voicings and some of the ideas from the transcription. So there you go. Let me play it again, and hopefully we'll get a nice version out of it, just like the first one. No backing track. That's not what we're going to do because we don't like that. So let's do something else. Yeah, it's almost ballad-like for sure. I did keep the tempo going throughout the whole thing. I think it was, thank you, Rich. Ben. I was like, oh my goodness. I have seniors moments, but thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Estate, beautiful tune. I hope you had a chance to download it. I think it would make a great transcription. I'm going to listen back to it and see how it is. But I always enjoy actually listening to these presentations. I learn a lot from them. I learn a lot from you. And I think it's worth transcribing. I'm not sure how you feel about it, but there you go. It's not a ballad. It's a bossa nova, but it's like a bossa ballad. And I'm not sure if you have any questions, but I covered pretty much everything I wanted to today. Thank you for the comments. I really appreciate that. See if I missed anything. Nope, I got all that. Got that. I even wrote myself little stickies. Oh, right. One more thing. End reveal. 2 minor 7 flat 5 or 2 half diminished 7 to 5 7 flat 9. I'm not sure if we've discussed this voicing before, but if in the key of B minor, if we go from C7, it's this voicing. So you've got octaves on the outside, or 2 octaves on C sharp. So we're doing C sharp half diminished 7th. And in the middle, you've got the 7th, this note, which is the flat 3, and this note. So a C half diminished 7th chord is this. So you've got the root, 3rd, and 5th. Like this. And then these 2 notes, the flat 3 and the flat 5, fall to become these 2 notes, which is the root and 13th of F sharp 7. And all you have is the tritone in the left hand. And then fall again. Bring these 2 notes down to whatever the next chord is. One more time. So play the out notes first. Do that. And then you can switch this chord too to something else, like I did here, which is the E half diminished 7th chord over F sharp, and then down to B minor with a 9th. Yeah. So there you go. There's my end reveal. I hope you were able to stick around for that. Let me just check in to see quickly. Martin says, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with a slow bossa ballad. I really felt it. I'm not sure if you saw or could tell how much I was into it. I just love this tune. And I hope you do too. And it's been fun hanging out with you today. We are out of time, and we will see you same time, same place next week. And parting comments. Thank you for your shout outs to Nancy and her well-being, and for taking the time out of your busy day to spend an hour with me. I really appreciate it, and we will see you next week. Take care, everyone.